Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who writes its laws. In 2009, a Norwegian student named Christopher Koch came across a technical document on the internet describing a new form of digital currency, Bitcoin. Out of pure curiosity, he purchased 5,000 coins for about $25 and forgot about them. 4 years later, after seeing in the news that Bitcoin's value had multiplied dozens of times, Christopher realized that his forgotten dollars were now worth over 800,000. At the same time, roughly 1,000 kilometers away, another man named James Howells remembered that several years ago he had mined 7,500 bitcoins and stored them on an old hard drive. When he went to look for it, James realized he had accidentally thrown it away with the trash. Today, that drive still lies somewhere in a city landfill, and the value of those lost bitcoins is now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There are tens of thousands of stories like these. Some people become millionaires overnight, others lose everything in a week chasing easy money, and some simply forget their passwords and can't access their wealth. But what is cryptocurrency really? Is it just a bubble or the real future of finance? Why are some countries buying up digital assets while others ban them and create their own alternatives? To understand this, we need to go back to the events of 2008. In New York, in September 2008, employees of one of the world's largest investment banks were seen leaving their office carrying boxes. This was the beginning of the biggest financial crisis since the Great Depression. Production declined, millions of people lost their jobs, bank credit disappeared, and salaries were slashed. More than 2 million Americans lost their jobs, and the crisis spread across the globe. Why did this happen? For years, banks handed out mortgages to almost everyone, bundled those debts into securities, and sold them for enormous profit. And when everything collapsed, it was those same banks that were rescued using taxpayer money. Part of the bailout funds came from the budget, and part was simply printed, which sharply accelerated inflation. So the banks earned massive profits first, and then were pulled out of crisis using the money of ordinary citizens. But is it possible to create a system where money doesn't depend on banks or governments? In that same 2008, an anonymous person under the name Satoshi Nakamoto published an online document describing a new payment system called Bitcoin. Its essence was the following. All transactions between users are recorded in a shared ledger. This list is not stored on a single server, it is available to all network participants. So that no one can alter the data after the fact, each new batch of records, a block, contains encrypted information about the previous transactions. This structure was called a chain of blocks or blockchain. If someone tries to change one record, it alters the entire chain that follows, and other participants will quickly notice the forgery. Thus, blockchain is a decentralized and secure ledger available to everyone. To create a new block, participants need to calculate a certain hash, a unique code. This requires significant computing effort and is known as mining. The one who first finds the correct hash receives a reward in the form of new bitcoins. This is how a currency is created that is not dependent on any central bank. The first block appeared on January 3, 2009. Inside it was a phrase from a British newspaper headline referring to another bailout, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Just a few days later, Satoshi made the first transaction, sending 10 bitcoins to another cryptographer. At first, Bitcoin was worth less than a cent and was seen as an experiment. But as interest and the number of users grew, so did its value. In 2010, someone offered 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas. Who could have guessed that those pizzas would one day be worth hundreds of millions of dollars? But Bitcoin was only the beginning. Years later, a new network emerged that reimagined the principles of blockchain. We're talking about Ton, the open network. It grew out of the idea behind the Telegram messenger and quickly became one of the most technologically advanced blockchain networks in the world. Ton doesn't just process transactions, it does so with incredible speed and scalability that traditional networks can't match. While other blockchains handle dozens of operations per second, Ton scales to millions. Its architecture is based on parallel segments of the network, allowing thousands of operations to be processed simultaneously, without overload and with minimal fees. This makes it not only convenient but nearly invulnerable. Even under heavy traffic, Ton doesn't slow down or crash like other networks often do. But the most important part, Ton opened new opportunities for everyday users. Now you don't need to be a programmer or a miner with a video card farm. All you need is Telegram and access to Ton smart contracts to become part of the new digital economy. This isn't just a technology, it's an ecosystem where blockchain becomes an invisible but essential part of daily life. Simplicity, speed, power, this is what the new era of digital networks looks like. If before, NFTs and blockchain technology were associated with internet images suddenly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, everything has changed today. An NFT is no longer just a picture. It's a smart contract, a piece of code stored in the blockchain that cannot be faked, deleted, or modified. It doesn't just confirm ownership of an object, it enforces the owner's rights to perform specific actions defined in its logic. 101 is a platform that makes NFTs truly functional. Here, each NFT is not just an image but a digital miner, whose contract includes an algorithm for generating coins. Users don't just own tokens, they launch processes inside the blockchain. Computations are no longer done on the user's device. Now the energy source is not electricity, but time. Time is the most universal and limitless resource in the model of the universe, yet it is limited for each person individually. That's why the 101 system is built on time as its fuel. Each NFT miner is an asset that generates coins as time passes, verified across the entire network. Cheating is impossible. Time is confirmed by thousands of devices around the world, all synchronized through the internet. To stop this system from working, you'd have to simultaneously shut off the internet on the entire planet. And even in that case, once the connection is restored, the network will resume and continue mining coins as if nothing happened. That's true decentralization, where human time becomes digital value. And no server, exchange, or regulator can stand in the way.